In the spring of 2018, across the United States, consumers witnessed a devastating sight. One by one, the lights went out in over 700 iconic stores. Shelves that once held millions of children's dreams were picked clean by liquidators. And 33,000 people, some who had dedicated decades of their lives, were told they no longer had a job, no severance, no warning. It was just over. You probably believe Amazon killed Toys R Us. It is the easy answer and the common story. But what if I told you that secret documents from behind the scenes reveal something much more sinister? While 33,000 families lost everything, the owners of the company were celebrating with millions of dollars in their pockets. What you are about to see is not just a bankruptcy. It is proof that the wrong handshake can be a death sentence. This was not a weak regional chain. This was Toys R Us, a global titan with over $11 billion in annual revenue. A brand so powerful that an entire generation believed Geoffrey the Giraffe was as real as Santa Claus. So how does an empire like this simply disappear? The answer is one of the most devastating business stories ever told. And the killer is not who you think. Get ready for the autopsy. Our story begins in 1948 in Washington, D.C., with a 25-year-old visionary named Charles Lazarus. Fresh out of the army, Lazarus opened a small baby furniture store. America was in the middle of the historic baby boom. Millions of soldiers were coming home and they all needed cribs. Business was good, but Lazarus had a clinical eye for profit. He noticed a fundamental flaw in his furniture model. Parents who bought furniture came in once, maybe twice. But parents who bought toys, they came back for every birthday, every holiday. Every time a child wanted the newest thing they saw on TV, toys, Lazarus realized, were a recurring addiction. Furniture was a one-time sale. It was a simple insight, but it was worth billions. He decided he would not just sell products. He would sell the repeat visit. In 1957, Lazarus went all in. He did not build just another store. He created the category killer. The first toy superstore in the world, shelves from the floor to the ceiling. Thousands of items. Self-service aisles in an era where everything was sold over a counter. Shopping malls initially rejected him because they feared the concept was too chaotic. They could not have been more wrong about the future. Through the 60s and 70s, the chain expanded with aggressive speed. In 1978, Toys R Us went public on the New York Stock Exchange. Investors noticed the genius behind the brand immediately. The company had such massive buying power that it could dictate terms to any manufacturer in the country. If Mattel or Hasbro wanted to sell toys, they had to play by the rules of Lazarus. The empire was consolidated. By the 80s, Toys R Us was not just a store. It was a cultural event. The Christmas catalog was studied by children like a sacred text. The flagship store in Times Square attracted over 1 million visitors a year. Geoffrey the Giraffe became one of the most recognized mascots on the planet. And the jingle about not wanting to grow up became the anthem of a generation that refused to leave childhood behind. At its peak in the early 90s, the company controlled 25% of the entire toy market in the United States. 1 out of every 4 toys sold went through their cash registers. Giants like Lego and Hasbro were dependent on Toys R Us to survive. They had exclusives, custom packaging, and prices that no competitor could touch. They were invincible. Or at least, that is how it looked from the outside. Then came the internet and the first fatal test for the leadership. In 1999, they launched their own e-commerce site sheet. The timing was perfect. Families were starting to shop online. Toys R Us had the brand and the trust. But the Christmas of '99 became a logistical nightmare. The website collapsed. Thousands of children woke up on December 25th with no presents under the tree. It was a public relations catastrophe. Instead of rebuilding their digital foundation, the board made a decision that sealed their fate. They signed a 10-year contract with Amazon in the year 2000. The deal seemed smart. Toys R Us would be the only toy seller on the Amazon site. In exchange, they shut down their own web development. They handed the keys of their future to their biggest predator. Almost immediately, Amazon began allowing other sellers on the platform, breaking the exclusivity. Toys R Us sued and won in court in 2004, but the victory was hollow. For crucial years had passed. For years, where they built nothing online while Amazon trained the world to shop in its own ecosystem. The digital vacuum at Toys R Us was now a hole they could never fill. If you think Amazon was the final blow, wait until you see what happened in 2005. This was the year the financial bomb was planted. 3 of the most powerful private equity firms, KKR, Vornado, and Bain Capital, bought Toys R Us for $6.6 billion. But here is the secret. They did not use their own money to buy the company. They used the company itself to pay for the deal. Out of the $6.6 billion price, $5.3 billion was financed with debt. That debt was placed directly on the back of Toys R Us. The company now owed billions to lenders. The annual interest payments were $400 million. Before paying one employee or buying one box of Barbies, the company had to give $400 million to bankers every single year. The giant began to bleed internally while smiling on the outside. What you are about to hear is the part most channels ignore. This was not just bad luck. It was engineering designed to extract profit from the ashes. If you want to understand how money moves in the shadows of big bankruptcies, subscribe now. Hit the bell, because what comes next will change the way you look at any big store at the mall. We are opening the black box of this destruction. While Toys R Us was writing checks for $400 million to cover interest, their rivals were at war. Walmart invested billions in logistics. Target redesigned their stores. Amazon built distribution centers on every corner. And Jeffrey, he was tied to an anchor. There was not a penny left to modernize stores or compete on price. Innovation died so that the interest could be paid. Walking into a store in 2013 was a depressing experience. The shelves looked dated. The interactive displays were broken. The staff was cut to the minimum. The magic that once made children beg to enter had evaporated. Toys R Us looked like a time capsule from 1992 while the world outside was already in the future. Consumers noticed the neglect and nostalgia was not enough to save them. By 2016, Amazon captured 20% of all toy sales in the US. That was almost the same share Toys R Us had in its prime. The game had changed to convenience and low prices. Those were 2 things a company choking on debt could not offer. The technology gap was now a death sentence. Internally, the alarms were ringing, but there was no money for an emergency move. The Titanic had already hit the iceberg. September 2017, a payment of $400 million was due. The company did not have the money. With no way to refinance and suppliers in a panic, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The CEO, Dave Brandon, sent messages of optimism. He said it was just a restructuring and they would come back stronger. But behind the scenes, the liquidators were already sharpening their knives for the final kill. The bankruptcy announcement caused a catastrophic domino effect. Manufacturers, like Mattel and Hasbro, feared they would not get paid and cut off credit. The shelves went empty right before Christmas. Without exclusive products and without market trust, revenue crashed. What was supposed to be a reorganization turned into a free fall. The prophecy of failure was destroying the last of the inventory. In March 2018, the final blow came. The total closing of all 735 remaining stores in the United States. The final liquidation was not a warm goodbye, it was a looting. Crowds rushed to the stores not to support the brand, but to buy what was left for pennies on the dollar. Jeffrey, the symbol of 3 generations, was being sold as scrap while the lights were turned off for the last time. The cruelest part was the 33,000 workers. Many gave 30 years to the company, taking care of every aisle and every child. Because of how the bankruptcy was legally structured, they received no severance pay, 0. Meanwhile, the private equity firms that loaded the company with debt had already taken about $200 million in management fees over the years. The scandal became political. The Toys R Us Workers Action Group went to Congress. They exposed how the private equity model allows investors to profit even when the company dies. It was a national debate about ethics and greed. Under pressure, KKR and Bain Capital created a $20 million fund for the workers. It sounds like a lot, but these only temper-kill companies. So what really killed Toys R Us? Amazon was just a symptom. The real cause was a chain of human errors and financial greed. First, the arrogance of outsourcing digital sales to a competitor. Second, the blindness of not investing in the customer experience when the profit still existed. And third, and most important, the unbearable weight of a debt that was never meant to be paid back. This is a lesson in how debt destroys what competition cannot touch. You can have the most loved brand in the world, but if your balance sheet is a prison, you have no future. In the modern market, speed is everything. And nobody can run fast while carrying a $5 billion anchor on their back. The lesson for any entrepreneur is this: own your sales channel and, above all, protect your cash flow. But there is a strange postscript to this tragedy. Jeffrey did not totally die. In 2019, new investors bought the rights to the brand. In 2021, they started opening mini stores inside Macy's across the country. Today, there are a few flagship locations trying to bring back the magic. But is it the same? Or is it just a digital ghost trying to profit from our nostalgia? The answer depends on who is holding the credit card now. The story of Toys R Us is a warning for the giants of today. Companies like GameStop or AMC look at the case of Jeffrey with terror. Physical retail is not dead, but static and indebted retail is. If you do not own your technology and your debt, you are just a tenant in your own empire. And tenants can be evicted at any time by owners who only care about the next spreadsheet. Look around you. How many brands that you loved as a child still exist? And how many of them are just surviving on life support? Toys R Us taught us that the love of the public is valuable, but financial health is vital. Without profit to reinvest, love turns into pity, and pity does not pay the bills. The goodbye of 20 because we thought giants were immortal. We learned the hard way that no one is. 70 years of history, $11 billion in revenue, 33,000 families left behind. All of it evaporated not because toys stopped selling, but because decisions made in carpeted boardrooms. Far from the smile of any child, prioritize the immediate bonus over the long term. Toys R Us was sacrificed on the altar of financial engineering, and we were left only with the memories of a mascot. If this corporate autopsy changed your view of the business world, you know what to do. Subscribe so you do not miss the next investigations. Because in the next video, we will analyze how another legend that ruled the world, and that you probably have in your pocket or drawer, managed to lose it all in record time. You will not want to miss what we found. See you next time on the dark side of profit.